Am I okay to record? She said I've got to record.
Yeah, of course.
That's like an injury, isn't she?
Sounds amazing. And those pictures are so good.
Right? How fast was that?
I mean, you're a pro. He's a pro. It's
Well,
like,
you know what I mean. Good
no,
tea.
it's brilliant because I mean, I love the fact that like nobody hangs around anxiety. I mean, you must have been on it as well, but like I've been on. I was in New York for 10 years. And I did so many shoots where it took 9 hours. And it was like,
What the fuck? Under lunch break. I said, I'm not exhausted. Do you not want to get home and get a bath?
and it's just like reasons.
It's
You know,
so
it's like,
I don't think we did 3 outfits break.
Yeah.
Done.
brilliant. It's brilliant. That's
I can
amazing.
get back up
Thank
to
you
the
so
press room
much
now.
for doing this.
No,
today.
thank you. So
I am
how did
so
this all triangulate?
So yeah, it's well. First of all,
Do you want brain power?
Let's do it.
I'll give you a brain power. We do have coffee anyway.
Yeah. There's coffee's coming in a minute.
But
So
you have one of these with it.
amazing.
So this, I'll talk you through this. So brain powder is something I developed because I always need a boost of focus, particularly during times of during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's that one.
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
However, you know, you're constantly having coffee and everything like that. I needed something that's
This one.
this is you're gonna have a pina colada.
Amazing.
Pina colada flavour.
I love this packaging as well. It's so
not
funny.
back to
Exactly. I know.
Yeah,
I was like, it's just brilliant.
Hysterical, isn't it?
It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
So this brain powders. So it's my go-to at WillPowders really, because I mean we need to spin so many plates.
Yeah.
And then you hit like 4 o'clock, and bearing in mind you're coming to the end of the office day, but my day is just beginning with the kids as well.
Yeah.
So there's all like and I find it really boring, like the homework, the washing, the getting the bags together, putting up with art projects, the arguing that I don't want that from all that. If I'm brain dead, I'm an arsehole, you know, I'm really snappy.
Yeah.
So what do? You can't have coffee because apparently that's going to keep you awake all night. So I developed this with an amino acid called L-theanine, which is that we actually sell at WillPowders in a standalone because it reduces anxiety, but it also takes the edge off caffeine, so you don't suffer insomnia later. So if you were just to have a coffee, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I like everything supercharged, which is what these are.
Yeah.
And they've got it's called nootropics,
Yeah.
which sounds a bit wacky, but really it was developed by Silicon Valley for the coders. And so, for high concentration.
Yeah.
Mind if I use that? I mean, that's terrible, isn't it? We do sell a whizzer, but, you know, I'm lucky I turn up, to be honest, because I've got so much shit going on. So nootropics were developed in Silicon Valley. And me being me, I'm always trying to optimize my brain because I get so distracted so easy. I need constant hits of adrenaline and excitement. So when I'm faced with the mundane, like school run or tax meeting, I have to have this to keep because otherwise I'll start drifting and it's a waste of everyone's time, or I'll just get exhausted and and snapping with the kids. So it's about knowing how to hijack your brain at the appropriate times, how to manufacture the best possible sleep but the best possible energy at the right time of day, you know. And so brain powder's got like 11 different nootropics in. I mean, it's nothing too wacky. So like one of the biggest nootropics in the world, caffeine, you know. Right. However, with some caffeine you could get the jitters. So that's why I always have coffee with calm. Yeah, because often you get the jitters from mouldy coffee. You know, I always go for Pret. Actually, if there's a choice, I go for Pret because it's organic and I don't get the jitters from that. But anywhere else, I'll always have a calm because the mold can just rev up that anxiety. Obviously, your brain doesn't want mold in it, so it's going to make you anxious and try to tell you to stop it. But you need the energy, so it's like I need to liven up, but I don't want to feel anxious. So for me, who overdoes everything, to have that buffer and to walk around with these is great. So bottoms up. Cheers.
It's amazing. I love them. I love a bit of hack. Brilliant. Cheers.
And that's what it is. Being able to hack into your day just to get you through it. And make you feel in control. For me, WillPowders is all about control. And that's what I was lacking before. I just felt fine. You know. And I think we all want to feel control.
Really exciting.
It is. And I mean, who'd have thought Silicon Valley coders would influence this school mom run person?
Well, it's funny. We'll come on to it because I was saying to Susie, I was thinking about it a lot this morning, and you read about biohacking and it is all kind of Californian men.
The bros.
And I just don't know any women.
No,
doing
well, I
it.
mean, there's a
Not
few,
really.
but there's a few, right? But and she's fabulous. She's called Aggie. Now, I was watching a reel of hers, and she goes, "This is what I do as a CEO of a biohacking company who lives in Bali, California. I get up in the morning and I journal. Hopefully, that'll do you, love. Well, that's nice. And then I meditate in the sun, and I'm looking at my life and swearing up the stairs, going, "What the fuck, can you get it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." And then she gets on the back her motorbike with her new husband, and then they go and do all their meetings outside, getting natural daylight, and I'm there in fucking Lancashire in the pissing rain with me bloody dry robe on indoors because the MD won't put the heating on, and I'm like, this is the antithesis of the other biohacker, and you just think. Oh.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I was like 35, or I think she may be 30, I'd probably go to Bali. But no, I'm stuck in Lancashire, and that's my lot. So I think I'm more of a biohacker than her, because I'd be in a fabulous mood. The trick comes when you're stuck in the middle of the UK, on a shitty January afternoon, January the 45th, and you're like, right, what can I do to shine a little bit of light into my life? And I think that hyper focuses me. So if we can feel great in these conditions, imagine how we'll feel when we trip through Santa Monica and Bali and whatever. I bet she's never travelled with 4 kids in an airport either, so that's another challenge for her. So I think, and the fact that you highlighted that all the biohackers are bros.
Yeah.
And I said, this is interesting, because I'm looking at your Dave Asprey's and your Hubermans, who tells you you've got to wait an hour before you have coffee. Mm-hmm. So tell me exactly, who's got an hour? Who's got the patience? Get up an hour early. I said, well, the kids are up at 6. So that means you're going to be getting up at 5. No. It's a lot. It is very bro heavy. And I think the true biohackers are women, because we have been trying to hack our health, I think, since we all got shoved on the pill for acne.
Yeah. Yes.
Then the weight gain came on. Then the dieting and the slim fast came in. Then obviously the metabolic flexibility went out the window because we had low fat. So obviously low fat, low calorie, which meant brain deadness, brain fog, low mood, because your brain's not getting the saturated fats and the cholesterols it needs to function. Low salt, so you've got no electrolytes in your brain, which obviously your brain is electrical, so you need the electrolytes to kick your brain off. So then you go on antidepressants, and then you get told, "Oh, chill out, relax, treat yourself, have a glass of wine, have a cake, your dessert." And I'm like, oh my God, no wonder we've ended up here.
Yeah.
So when your Dave Asprey's and your Hubermans are telling me that they're biohackers, I'm like, mate, do not even compare your little drop in testosterone when you're 75 with my fucking fluctuating hormones that started at 30, and I've had the pill, thyroid, metformin, antidepressants, mood stabilizers shoved down my neck.
Yeah.
And, it's just a prescription cascade.
It really is.
What we go through. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, yeah, sorry, we've got a health crisis with women with the menopause. And you're like, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah. Have you seen where we came from? Yeah. So I think the true, and it's a force for good, with me being so open and honest, and there's no flies on me, because I'm like, this is the reality, and it's very imperfect, but it's very doable.
Yeah.
And we've all got our scars. Every single woman I speak to has earned their stripes, no matter what. By the time you hit 40, you're like, go on then. Yeah. And it's like, it's a camaraderie. Yeah. It's like, we're all in the trenches. It's like World War One, and you're just like, just sending another load of troops to the front line again, because it's relentless.
Oh, totally.
So I think I'm trying to create a movement of absolute honesty, and I think that's why my Instagram took off, because you can't buy me. I'm no affiliates. I'll get sent things all the time. Do you want to advertise? I said, no, it's a great product. I'll do it for free. Just give my audience a discount.
Yeah.
Cheers, love. And that's it. Brings that.
Is there another one?
Yeah. One more, thanks. So that brings an element of trust that I'm unaffiliated. I'm starting a podcast soon, and I'm not going to take sponsorship. No. Fuck off. I'm not there for the money. I'm there for the information, because I've got a great little company called WillPowders. It's fine. Obviously, I'm affiliated to that. but everything else is optional. Perhaps let's have a look. Does this work? So, for example, on my page, I'll talk about sourdough. And then this company came out on nowhere, this Jason sourdough. And I'm like, great. They've looked at the grains, fantastic. I really like them. And, you know, like, oh, do you want to do an affiliate program? I absolutely don't. I'm just going to raise awareness because it makes it easier for us lot to get on. However, I will call them out and say, do not try to sell me protein in bread because that's bullshit, you know? So I'm always going to
be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's why our community is mushroomed.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh God, thank God, no one's getting paid. There's no backhanders.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why
because people can trust it.
Yeah.
Where you're in Lancashire?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Basically, next stop is the Lake District.
Okay.
Right in the basically in most northern parts.
Yeah.
Before you get
right. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it is Clitheroe.
Yeah.
Clitheroe.
But you're from
Wigan, just a little bit further down.
Because you went to school with a very dear friend of mine, Faina.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, my God.
Thank you so much. Yeah, she said send love.
Oh, nice. Right.
Yeah. Because I was on the phone to her the other day and I said we were meeting. And she said, yeah, she has the fondest memories.
I always meant.
She said you were really fun, very kind. Yeah. So you didn't grow up in Bolton?
No, I mean, just went to Bolton.
Yeah. And
which was like really strict.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how they got a GCSE they literally force fed you. And do you know what? And that kind of brings me back as well because I did better back then because it was exams. So I don't do good with coursework. And that brings it back to this sort of thing. I have to have last minute.
Yeah.
That's how I operate. And it all makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
It's like a form of ADHD, which is, I don't like sitting under that umbrella because I don't medicate for it. I don't allow for it. But it explains a lot as why I'm extremely last minute. It's because I need the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I need the push. And,
yeah.
You know, I see that from my kids.
Yeah.
And 2 on, you know, so you're like, wow, it is a thing.
How old are they all?
Okay, we've got 17 at the top.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2 is 13. Number 3 is 11. Number 4 is 9.
Oh, God.
So
that's
a lot of testosterone, yeah. And we live in a really small house. So you can't swing a cat. We've got these 2 dogs. Oh, my God. So I've given up. I don't paint the walls, nothing. I've just given up. I said, we'll eventually have a really nice house. My husband's a builder, so by trade. So we will build a bigger house. Yeah. But right now we're focusing on the business. And do you know what? Everything gets broke. So I'm like, I give up.
So nice. I mean,
I'm just like,
I'm not going to put football through it. Yeah.
Literally. There was rugby balls going past my head. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then it's like, let's play hit more. I'm like, my anxiety, guys.
It's hilarious. So the way this came about.
Oh, yeah.
I wish you could tell me what the conversation was that we were having, and I don't know what it was. So I was just at my friend's house for dinner, Friday before last, and do you know Melissa Hensley? She's a cook.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
So she's involved. Yeah.
She's one of my.
We've got mutual friends. Oh, we're sure you probably
do. And I was at her.
Is she married to a Mancunian?
No.
But the thing
is,
yeah, I think so.
I think Charles might be married. I think Nick might be a Mancunian.
Right. Okay.
Anyway,
there's a link there. Yeah, I almost in Manchester. So named up a few times.
I mean, and she is very. You know, she's a food activist.
Yeah.
As well as being but I can't remember what we were talking about. But you came up in conversation, and they were both her and my friend Ruth said you should have a look at what he's doing. It's really interesting about the biohacking. And I was like, and I just had no idea. And I was like, and then I went on your Instagram and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
To stop it.
Yeah.
As a consumer, I've got things to buy and try.
Yes. But it's really interesting because I am so nerdily fascinated by, you know, I think we've all been told that so much of what we're experiencing is in our heads because we are sentient beings and we try to make meaning out of everything that happens to us. Yeah. So I did this piece about anxiety a couple of years ago, and it was fascinating talking to experts about GABA and things like that. You know, and you're just like, fuck, okay, because what's actually happening is in your body, not in your head, but because we're mad human beings, we're just like, what does it mean? What does it mean? Everybody hates me, you know. Yeah. And so I'm so fascinated by the idea of being able to tweak, you know, what is essentially just biological and it will feel cycle, you know. And
I mean, the fact that we've not connected general sort of medicine treats everything in isolation, doesn't it? It's like different departments, like in a department store. So you've got haberdashery over here, and then you've got lighting over here, and it's like as if, and the fact that we've never sort of clicked until recently that what you eat does impact your mood. I mean, it's just like the best hack of all. I mean, is being fat fueled during the day gives you sustained energy and focus, and you can boost it with a little bit of nootropics here. Or, I mean, I have like a WillPowders fatty coffee the minute I get up, and I just stay away from carbs all day. Now that would have been obscene for me to think that, because I'm like, no, you must have granola. You gotta have an overnight beverage. But it actually dampens down my ability to think and focus.
Totally.
So I hack that towards the end of the day when I would have like your carbs and everything. And then boom, you've got your carb coma when you're sitting down, you finish sorting the kids out, the uniform's been done, and then you have your carbs and you're mopping up your gravy with your Jason sourdough, and all of a sudden you have dampened down, you have increased GABA, and you have dampened down cortisol. And you know what? You've got a couple more hours before bed, and you actually, you're stoned.
It's great.
I mean, what? But why are we saying you're going to have a meal deal at lunchtime or at 11 o'clock? I'm like, I've just started the day.
But I mean,
it's kind of like
you're more tired and more hungry than porridge.
I know.
It's like, why would you do that?
I mean, some people get on with it fine, but I'm like, have you really checked in with yourself?
No.
Have you really checked in with the best thing to do, and it sounds a bit barley, but it's like just kind of like doing a mood diary just in your phone as you eat. Give yourself 20 minutes. How do you feel now? Are you satiated? Are you thinking about your next snack? Has it given you a hunger? Well, not a real hunger. It's more of a snacking cue. And I was really surprised. This is like years ago when I first started doing it. Like what was making me picky afterwards. I think I might go, I might have Twix. What? It's 11 o'clock in the morning. What are you getting Twix this for? But it's insane. I revert back to 18's palate. Kick off that craze.
Well, that's mentioned delight now.
Why not? Wagon wheels. Bring it.
So how did you first find out about it? And because, I mean, your knowledge is incredible. I mean, like you do. I'm not joking when I say you should have a telly show about it. Like it's just you are on Instagram essentially.
It's a show that you can edit.
But I mean, it's complicated stuff. And
however, once it resonates, it's actually more common sense than everything. Right. Because if you sort of think about, we have so many studies out there, and I think that's where it's gotten, because I could literally do a million Instagrams about the study says this, and they just constantly conflict. However, I think we've forgotten to use our intuition a little bit, and we get force-fed basically what big food want us to think, because it's very profitable. It's very easy to jump on someone's low energy. And I mean, how much is it for a brownie in Costa? You know what I mean? It's like they're churning them over. It costs about 3 pence to make. And their net profit's fabulous, and it's a treat, and it's a energy or whole grain, and before you know it, you're in the trap. But it's kind of like being able to take a step back and look at yourself, feel exactly what the impact is. It is, and then you've got your own barometer. And I came about it when I was, it was actually Matthew. I'd like to take all the credit, but he'll go, Matthew, because no, it wasn't you. You were eating pot noodles in bed watching the telly. And this is true. This is true, I'm afraid to say. He stumbled across Dave Asprey.
Okay.
He wouldn't have been my go-to, I'll be honest with you. It wasn't resonating with Dave. But I don't think we do we? No, we don't. We get a little bit kind of condescending. And so I think that's why I'm very, very adamant about our Facebook group and how it's all very anecdotal, and you've got everyone studies saying the same thing, and it's like, and it's not condescending, and it's really accessible, and it's not very highbrow, like too loose, I mean, these guys, how their mum raised them out. I mean, it's quite something. The confidence is quite. So that's why I like what we've got going on with WillPowders. It's tongue in cheek sort of. I've tried everything. Gift of desperation here.
And it's the community.
And it's the community. So I've kind of like laid the foundations. Like in my first book, there's a sort of 2 week reset. It's nothing crazy, you know. It's kind of like it's be giving people the tools to check in and wow, now am I already hungry again? What triggered that? What happened 20 minutes ago? What happened an hour ago?
Yeah.
And it was that was bugging me about myself. I was constantly snacking on the granolas, cereals, huge fan of Weet-Bix, huge, massive, major. But I was finding things like emptying the dishwasher arduous and there was a lot of huffing and puffing. And, you know, taking the kids for a walk. Oh, God. A prime example, I was living in London at the time. If I go to the big Tesco in West London, if there wasn't a parking space right next to mother and baby, bearing in mind the kids were out pram, so I had an excuse, right next to mother and baby, I'd literally drive and go home because my brain was so without fuel that it was trying to preserve my physical energy at all costs. Even though I was overweight, inflamed, you know, I was way much bigger than I am now. I was swimming in water retention, swimming in cellulite, but it was my brain that was flat and it was telling me go home. So I'd drive home and then try and do an online order, and then before I got to check, I'd forget it, and then go, Matt, will you pick up something for tea? I mean, it was that.
So how long ago is this?
So that's pushing about that must be 10 years now.
Right.
Yeah.
So late. So you're mid-30s.
Yes. So I feel so. I'm 47 now. So maybe it was a bit longer actually. It's about 12 years. So I feel younger now than then.
Wow. That's
because
amazing.
I was so. I mean, it was like everything was an effort. You know, everything was. I couldn't be bothered even like meeting up with people.
Wow.
Very kind of isolated. Not because I had social anxiety.
Just had no energy.
No, yeah. And
so
just like, you know, and I didn't have wine to lean into.
Right.
So all I got is sugar. So and that wasn't working because, you know, I wasn't getting any sugar boost. So it was like, do you know what? I might just watch Strictly and just call it a night. I mean, that's what, you know.
Yeah.
That's not what someone at 35 should be doing.
And it's also very hard to imagine you not being energetic.
Like,
so much.
Really, yeah. And it's only because I changed my fuel source thanks to Dave in San Francisco. So I'd never drank coffee before.
Right.
Because first of all, I've been told it gives you cellulite and it's bad for you. So you must never have that. Also, like when everyone started drinking like coffee shop, like Friends, and that started out, I discovered the pub. So I'm like, why on earth did you go to a coffee shop when you can go to the pub? So that I missed that whole revolution, you know, the coffee shop thing. So, and also it used to give me the jitters. I didn't like the anxiety. So I'd had maybe 2 coffees. Like, oh my God, it's horrific. I don't want that. Anyways, fast forward like 20 odd years. A massive, huge coffee drinker, loves it, like a real connoisseur, complete moron with it. I'm like, this is taking far too much time. But he started like talking about this MCT oil. Right. So brace. MCT oil is it's just part of it's a fatty acid that's found in coconut oil. And it's only got 8 carbon atoms in it. So vegetable oil has got 48.
Right.
So this has got 8 carbon atoms, which makes it very unique.
Right.
So it avoids the digestive system and it goes via the lymphatic system straight into the liver. Right. So you're not kicking off digestion or anything. It's very, very unique. And what it does down there, the liver, through an enzymatic process, will convert these little this oil that I've blended into my coffee, and it doesn't separate because you have to use a blender.
Right.
This is like way back before I created the powder. And it turns it into a cappuccino. So it's nothing bizarre.
Right.
And what it does in the liver, it converts from this oil into a new type of energy source called a ketone. And a ketone is something that I've babies are in ketosis. You know, it's nothing. And if you say fast for 4 days or maybe less, you go into ketosis. Exercise can push you into ketosis. But this oil pushes straight into ketosis.
Wow.
Which man has always danced with ketosis. It's metabolic flexibility. You've got carbohydrate burning and then you've got ketone burning. And ketone burning is when people would say to me, but ancient man would never have got into ketosis because otherwise he would have died. No. Ancient man, if you ran out of food, would have gone into ketosis. And the evolutionary uplift of this is more brain energy. The brain suddenly starts using ketones from the liver straight into the bloodstream to the brain, and all of a sudden you start fat burning as a fuel, which you can start taking stores of body fat. The brain then has sustained energy. So ancient man would then be able to hyper focus on hunting. So it's a survival mechanism. And I think, obviously, being born in like 1977, I've never been in ketosis since. Even being bottle fed. I've never been in ketosis ever. And so all of a sudden, it just gave me the lights went on a bit. I mean, I'm not talking boom. I'm not talking like, a glass of champagne or anything. I want to like manage expectations. But all of a sudden, I wasn't as slouchy. I wasn't wading through tar. And there was a little bit of optimism that there was something else out there. Bearing in mind, I've been to a doctor and I said, what's wrong with me? He said, oh, well, you're probably depressed. And I'm like, no, I'm just kind of tired and can't be asked. So it's depression.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And I said, the weight and everything. He said, yeah, well, you've had 4 kids. So, have you tried, maybe cutting down on calories and exercise? And I went, wow, no, that's new. Yeah, blow me away with that advice. Well, everything in moderation as well, doctor. Thanks. Top tip. So, I mean, we've all been down there. We've all been told the beige advice. And it's not sustainable. I can't possibly calorie control. I need a lot of calories for the amount of energy I exude. I guess I'm like, pushing 50 and I've still got 4 kids at home. It's not exactly how evolution would have had us. We would have long since got rid of the kids. So I need a lot of calories, and I get that using this keto mechanism, which puts me in a good mood, gives me creativity, gives me optimism, and gives me control of what I want to do with my day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I can knock back into it. I can go and have myself a sandwich and then boom, I'm back down into. So that's fine on a Sunday or something if I'm not under 9 rugby freezing. But you can dip in and out. And I have now got into a place which I want every woman to be aware of like metabolic flexibility. So you can dip in and out of your carbs, you can dip in and out of ketosis, and it's up to you. Yeah. And that is a choice. Yeah. If I want to suddenly get super lean, which I don't because I'm lean enough, but if I suddenly wanted to, I think I could do. Yeah. If I want to get super cozy around about Christmas time, I can do. I'll hack my mood, and for me that is amazing. Without medication, without anything without alcohol, I can hack my mood. I can hack my personality. Yeah. And there's nothing more freeing than knowing you've got control of your own mind.
Absolutely. And there's no downside. There's no come down.
There's no come down. You just whittle down to the day, and then I'm like, right, okay, guys, that's me done. Fend for yourself. Clean your own teeth. Pick up your own underpants. I am checking out for the day. So it's a freeing experience, and that's what the feedback on the WillPowders. We've got like this Facebook group, and there's about 30,000 women on there now, and it's called For Fat's Sake. And like the FFS, hashtag FFS is what we all, for fuck's sake, are doing all the time. And I just thought, God, if we could just say for fat's sake, just have a fat bomb, things will get better, your brain will start working better. And that's why I coined For Fat's Sake, because it's just that the eye roll, another email from school.
So when did you launch the company?
21.
Okay.
Is it 21? About 3 years ago. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, your range is amazing.
And we've got more and more, and
was that around the same, when the first book came out as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah, so it was a case of, I was doing all these things in my first book, It's Not a Diet, and I had to, bring it, to get good quality MCT oil is really tricky. You got to know your supplier. And then, obviously, I want to know the provenance of everything, because that's what we forget in the supermarket. We look at the front, not the back. Where's it from? Where are your prawns from? From Vietnam? No, not from Vietnam. They're farmed. Put it back. And it's knowing all these tricks of being able to read the back of the label. And that's what I wanted to put front and centre of our stuff. So our collagen is Swiss. I've visited the farms. There's not another collagen manufacturer on the planet that has stood next to their cows. Not one.
No.
And I'm like, if anyone's trying to sell me marine collagen, I'm like, okay, show me the fish that are wild. Because if I can't, as a manufacturer, and I can't find the true source, well, how can you?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, for me, it's provenance is key, like our bone broth protein. The whole regenerative farming is fundamental for the environmental impact as well. But it's about the food chain. The cows eat excellent grass, that outside. Then that changes their gut microbiome, their immunity, their fat profile. That builds better bones. So our bone broth has been affected by where the cows are raised and how they've been fed and the amount of light exposure, yada, yada, yada. And this is like the Vikings are frigging amazing at bone broth. I mean, every single civilization on the planet has used bone broth as a base up until, and as we were just talking up until our grandmothers or maybe even our mothers stopped. And then we got instant gravy.
Absolutely.
So we've all been raised on bone broth. Frigging stews, rubbish, totally boring. But you know what? Sustenance. And that's what we've forgotten. And I want to bring that back. But unfortunately, our palates have been hijacked by Bliss Point Foods. And it's no secret that we have mathematicians in the food companies, not food scientists. We have mathematicians who chart on a bell curve the exact point at which a food becomes most addicting, and it's called a Bliss Point food. And that is what's hijacked our palates from baby milk up. You know? And my kids still have sweets, and it worries me because I know what's happening, but I'm not going to have them, you know, those kids. Because they're at a party or whatever. Have your bloody blue sweet Haribos, I'll deal with the chaos in a minute. However, that's why I've got our protein. We started with a milk chocolate flavour and a vanilla flavour. So basically, when mums ask me, is it okay for kids to eat, which is crazy when you think they're scared of protein for their kids. I mean, that's how war's on it. And I'm like, think of it as oxtail soup, but it tastes like Mr. Ricky. Get it down you kids, get it down you. Just, and how much can I have? I said, well, until you're full. This is what and it's like, oh my God, we have all these numbers and then we've been told not to trust our own instincts. And it's absolutely wild. When people write to me and go, do you know what? I've not had a snack for a week. I've just had like 3 meals a day. And you're like, fucking hell, that's a freedom from addiction, right? That is a freedom from the endless. I mean, the amount of money you save long term when you start doing this, and you're not gathering it.
You're not taking out to cluster and get
it's relentless. But you've got no control of it because you're sat there just typing away, and all of a sudden, bing, a light goes on. Do you know what I fancy? Fancy a Kit Kat. Where the fuck did Kit Kat come from? You know, someone mentioned it last Tuesday, and then it's in your head, and it's like wallop, the emotional memory. So that's why I did WillPowders as a little bit of a high street palette. We are developing proteins that will be dark chocolate. But 101, I miss dairy milk. Dairy milk, I miss it. You know, when obviously you've got all these influencers and everything, well, just have a handful of nuts and like a square of dark chocolate. I'm like, mate, that's not going to do it. You don't know what you're dealing with here.
No.
I'm talking about one of these fruit and nut, you know. And that's why I wanted to bridge that gap. Because we can all be very virtuous and have a few seeds and a corner of dark chocolate, but the reality is, there's a lot of us who really struggle with that high street palate. But I am bringing out a dark chocolate, which is very nice. I'm told by the dark chocolate fans, and a neutral one, because I want mums and dads to understand that you can put our products in food. So when you've got kids who are super fussy, for example, the pasta dish, pasta, put the pasta on, pasta sauce, and sometimes that's all I can be asked doing because you know, hit the pasta thing. All I'll do is I'll sprinkle in a big tablespoon of collagen, the building blocks for life, amino acids. The kids can't smell it, they can't taste it, and boom, at least I know they're getting a decent dating. I mean, when we had the whole Prime phenomenon and the kids are breaking up in summer last year, please can I get this Prime? You know, and they're Asda, frigging 3 a.m. getting Prime. I just put some collagen in. And they don't taste it. And then Prime's gone and it's done. And that itch is scratched. And then we're moving on to something else. It's ridiculous. So I think it's about being able to hack into them as well and know that you're
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's sneaky nutrition, we call it.
Sneaky
You know, they don't know what they're having.
No.
Just, you know, and like I've got to just give up with the school. I mean, what am I going to be one of those ninjas that go out? And I just there's only so many battles you can fight. So I top and tail the day.
Do what you
Top
can.
and tail the day.
Yeah.
You know, they have like bacon and eggs in the morning. It takes me 2 seconds to do.
Yeah.
And then they have their smoothie, and then at the end of the day they have meat and veg.
Yeah.
And maybe a smoothie again. But during the middle of the day, I know they're having pizza and pasta with the school said they've got a salad bar. Like, what 10-year-olds going to go to a salad bar? And by the way, what nutrition is that going to give them anyway? You should give them a steak.
Lettuce, yeah.
Exactly.
So what's your, I think I read you don't eat really until the evening.
No, I don't really. No, I don't need to.
You have collagen.
I mean, that would have sounded to me like insane, but I don't get the craving anymore.
No.
And it's not because I'm like underweight or anything. I'm a healthy 10 stone. I'm 5'5", and I'm like pure muscle.
Amazing.
And so it's not like I am obsessed with bone density. I'm obsessed with muscle mass. So I really do. I mean, I have throughout the day, I have a lot of fat for my brain. I run most days, again for my brain. But I'm in like this sort of ketone fueled, like sort of tunnel.
Yeah. Do you have some of the?
So I'll talk you through a day.
Let's
see what we got here.
Yeah.
I got you another one of these. So I tell you what, get up in the morning. I'm always first up. I will have some of this is like WillPowders electrolyte, which is unique because first of all, you're not got any sucralose in it. You've only got stevia, which is blood sugar steady. Yeah. It doesn't impact the gut. It doesn't impact the hormones. It's absolutely a brilliant swap out for sugar or any of those nasties. That's the only one I'd have, stevia or allulose, but it's not yet available in the UK. So that'll be coming out soon. I think it's been passed in Australia. It's already in America. But allulose is very good for diabetes. But of course, we're probably about 5 years behind it. It's because that's how we roll in the UK. So the reason why I developed electrolyte is because water retention.
Right.
So we've put some diuretics in there, which are dandelion leaf, horsetail tea. So you know that if you don't sleep with the window open, you get puffy face, or if someone's had a glass of wine or whatever. Our lymph system just isn't as good as it should be, really. So it's kind of like flushing that out first thing in the morning. But like I alluded to earlier, the most important currency in your brain is a combination of fat and electricity. Hence electrolytes.
Yeah.
So before I've actually put the kettle on as I'm making this.
Yeah.
So I will have an electrolyte with some water, throw it down my neck, and then I'll get a black coffee and I will mix in some, let's see, some keto powder. Yeah. So this is a mixture of grass-fed butter, grass-fed better, again, and the MCT oil, which are powdered, and it's got a tiny bit of ketogenic friendly fibre in to slow the digestion. Right. So what I did was when I first started MCT oil, because me being me, I thought, well, 1 teaspoon's great, but what's 5 tablespoons? Naturally progressing into. And as anyone who is not fat adapted will tell you, you'll poo yourself.
Yeah.
So warning. Yeah. So that's why I developed this, because I know most women like me will just go, oh, well, I'll try anything. Yeah. So more mustard. 10 of them. So so we've got this, and it's basically like a really healthy sort of like a coffee mate. Yeah. You know? And that's how I had to describe it to my dad or my uncles. Like, think of it as coffee mate. Yeah. And then they're fine with it. And, you should have said, love. You should have said. So this goes in, it just makes it into a really creamy, but again, it's the ketones are in there, the butter's in there. Remember, if you're going to absorb any vitamins, you need fat present. Yeah. So you've got all the fatty acids and the vitamins and butyric acid in butter, which heals the gut. Right. Because obviously, if you're born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, your gut's wrecked. Yeah. Fact. So and now fortunately, doctors are acknowledging leaky gut, even though they call it, I think they call it intestinal permeability, is leaky gut. Mm-hmm. So now they're saying, okay, we do have a leaky gut problem, which brings me on to bovine collagen, which is amazing for healing the gut. I mean, of course it is. Yeah. It's great for skin, but I'm more interested in the skin inside than the skin outside. I'll be honest with you, because if the skin inside works, my mood's better. Because you have obviously the gut brain connection. Absolutely. if your gut is inflamed or not, or leaking, or permeable, you're not going to manufacture feel good hormones.
No.
And that for me is the end goal.
Yeah.
I want my mental health, and then the physical health will come. So I've got this thing: feed the brain and the body will follow. So don't worry about the weight or what you look like, because as soon as you start nutritionally satisfying your brain, you're not going to reach for the snacks. You are going to have more energy. You will actually go for a little walk. You will get outside. You will boost your own dopamine by getting daylight, and you will sleep better and push yourself into ketosis during that deep sleep. Yeah. And it's just that morning routine, that electrolyte and the coffee feeding my brain sets me up for the day. And I am a much better human being to live with. With myself, and with everyone else.
Yeah.
So that, and nutrition and everything's made so complicated, but I'm like, if you can do one thing, just hack that morning, that first morning.
Yeah.
Forget about the chanting, the journaling, the charging of crystals, the fucking grounding, the deep breath work. Just do that.
Yeah.
Get the news on and crack on with your day, So for me, I needed something that was a bit more into reality.
Yeah.
And it was just that.
I mean, and I think that speaks to the
99.9%, apart that top 1% that have time to channel, to journal.
Yeah, and I think
charge
it's problematic, because I think wellness can get so woo for so many people.
Really triggering. It's fucking triggering.
And as you say, it's not grounded in reality.
No, and I'm in the business. And I'm getting triggered. And I know it's bullshit. I know what it's like behind set. I know no one looks like that. I know the sunlight doesn't hit the eyes like that. It's bullshit. And I'm getting triggered. So it's like, let's bring it back down to reality.
And is it going well?
Really well.
Good.
I mean, you can see that.
I mean, my friends do.
Yeah, well, this is it.
To me,
because
I know when stories happen like that.
Well, I know.
Obviously, Susie was going to talk to me anyway.
I know. Serendipity. We could say it's a little bit woo-woo. It is a bit balmy, isn't it? A bit woo-woo.
She was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're coming to me before she was like, I was going to come to you." And it's just, but I think that shows that you are tapping into the right.
Well, we get about 700 reviews on our website every week.
Wow.
And that is just people volunteering. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. This is great. The kids are having it. My husband's having it. Because remember, we are the gateway to the next generation, but also to the guys.
Yeah.
Matt doesn't have a fucking clue what we buy. He goes, why have you not got that? Why don't you go to Tesco and get it for yourself then? Oh, we got the lamb in again. I'm like, honestly, I do not have them monopoly on the groceries, however one would assume that I do. So we are the gateway. So I thought you start with the mums, and then the kids naturally, by osmosis, they do it. And the dads. We've got a great new protein now, which is really for like men and women. But I just wanted to get the guys interested because it's got creatine in. Guys know about creatine. And it's got this new fandangle thing, which is actually very old, called shilajit. It's like a resin. It's like a fabulous, it's way high on the Himalayas. It's like a tar, actually, that's currently being used to not only detox toxic hormones, because we are never educated that you actually have to excrete used hormones into the toilet, like estrogen, and in order to feel the feel-good ones, Right. And so shilajit is very good at balancing hormones, and particularly because we've got this epidemic of low testosterone, men and women, and extremely high xenoestrogens. So estrogen mimicking. So you get that from makeup, deodorant, perfume, soy, plastic in bottles, microwave food. And we've got all these new sort of like endocrine disruptors. So we need to be able to detox them to not feel rage. Not just female PMT, but mood disorders with men, man boobs, cellulite, sore boobs before you come on. All of this is like toxic estrogen. So it's kind of putting it on the radar, really, that, as a family unit, we need to start looking at, ancient nutrition. Absolutely. And it is. We're trying to make it as accessible as possible. Yeah. So like the bone broth is going to be something you can just grab, shake, go out. obviously there's a form of process in it, but it's not an ultra processed food.
Yeah.
There is no maltodextrin in there. There is no preservatives. We're just talking dehydration here. There's no preservatives. There are no xanthan gums. There's no emulsifiers. There's no sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, nothing, which has been really tricky to do.
Yeah.
And because I'm selling something that is non-addictive, it's like, that's not how you meant to do it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like the opposite. It's like it actually makes you stop. So it's that from
That's
any,
disruptive.
but any business plan to be like, but that doesn't work. You need people to want more and more and more. I'm like, well, no, actually.
Hopefully that makes it feel good as enough.
Yeah.
More.
But I mean, to be fair, business is going really well.
Brilliant.
And like I said, it's now community led.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't be here, there, and everywhere. So this
No.
woman going into supermarkets going, oh look, Neil's Yard is going to put rapeseed oil in their crackers, but this other type of Neil's Yard, they've not.
Yeah.
I can't see that because great. And I'm like, the bastards, why have they done that? I'll write to them. And it's great.
Yeah.
And it's it's kind of like we've got to build so big that we make such noise that change happens.
Totally.
And it's
and that's what makes it sustainable as well. Because you can't have one person sustainable that. It does.
No, imagine.
It's
like
it's
kind of like a bit what's happening over the water, I guess. So okay. That's fully over water.
Do you ever think 25 years ago that like wellness would be your business?
Oh my God, no. And it's like, it just shows you do not have a clue. I mean, when you make plans, God just flipping laughs.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, really? Well, I'm going to show you this curve.
Yeah.
And I think because I've been so sort of open and transparent about my journey, just not necessarily through choice, just been outed by the press or whatever, and by circumstance, that I have been humbled into a position of there's no, airs and graces. This is me, and if you don't like me, fine. That's sad, and I'll probably keep knocking on your door till you do like me, but because I'm still insecure. But it's like, I think people appreciate that, okay, that's her history and this is what she's doing now. And actually, do you know what? That makes sense. It does make sense that we need to maybe have more calories in our brain. It does make sense that, we have changed our food chain so phenomenally that I actually got an inflamed brain. My brain I feel sluggish, I feel underwater, and how I articulate it is a little bit different, and people relate to it because they're doing the washing as well. They're trying to clean football boots. They've got someone kicking off, a 17-year-old kicking off with a 9-year-old over a fortnight. And you're like, what? At the same time. So I'm trying to wear my heart on my sleeve so people understand that life isn't perfect, but this might help.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm doing all right for somebody who's pretty, who has been really ill with, really, I mean, I'm not talking about alcoholism. I mean, ill with just fucking tiredness and sluggishness. I mean, completely the brain fog, the water retention, the aches and pains just way before. I mean, it's like I was like a 70-year-old, 35-year-old's existence, just crazy, and that was normal, and that's normal, and I was deemed normal. Oh, you're in the normal parameters, and you're like, our normal is shifting,
isn't it?
That's super interesting.
Wind it back to growing up. So, your dad was a businessman, right?
Well, mum and dad were.
They were together, business.
Yeah.
So
they got married. So they lived in the same housing estate in Liverpool, and like you did back then. You met at flipping 14, started dating at 16, got married at 18.
Yeah,
she was a hairdresser, and he was. God, he's like a door-to-door salesman, whatever. I mean, they did everything. They had a supermarket, the usual. Yeah, in Walton. And I remember going when I was a kid.
Oh,
I mean, wow.
He did well.
Yeah, they both did. I mean, they were 50-50.
Yeah.
Obviously, back in the 80s and 90s, men always take front and center.
Yeah.
But she's got whatever.
What was your mum's name? Lynn.
Yeah.
And what do you remember? Had they sort of done well before you were born?
No.
Right.
No, so I remember mum was a working mum. She was a dresser. I mean, our house stank of permanent solution. It's really nostalgic. I mean, I still get my eyelashes combed. Actually, it takes me back to my bride coming around to get her eyelashes done. But yeah, which I'm sure isn't very good for you. But I don't care. I'm like, come on.
One thing.
It's a net positive, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So growing up, I remember constant, conversations about business and whatever. And I hated it. Do I have to talk about business again? Because I was an only child. It was really boring because I didn't have anyone really to play with. My cousin had come round every weekend, but yeah, it was. I mean, no trauma, nothing, which made me scratch my head about why am I an alcoholic? Because if you go to any sort of, or you see it on TV, it's always this awful trauma triggered it.
Yeah.
And I understand now why a trauma would change your hormonal response, your cortisol would be
absolutely.
But I couldn't pinpoint anything. So I'm like, so that my inner monologue was like, you're indulgent, you're spoiled. But actually, as soon as I suddenly realised it was to do with naturally low dopamine, which obviously my parents had because they have business to drive their dopamine, then all of a sudden it makes sense. I was reaching for, and also because I've been raised with this low saturated fat, low calorie diet, high grain, that was dampening any level of excitement or electricity in my brain. So that was a perfect storm for me to feel flatline. So reaching for a glass of wine, and it was only wine, not beer or anything. Very, very strange that was the go-to, and I can see why a lot of women, when they hit 40, all of a sudden alcoholism becomes an issue, or binge drinking suddenly becomes an issue because it's the sugar, it's the alcohol, and it's ramping up dopamine that your brain can no longer access, even to like pay a household bill, do the mundane, which I now understand I can hack differently with ketones and with nootropics. I can do that without reaching for alcohol.
Yeah.
And so that for me took a lot of the guilt out of my drinking. I was just chemically substandard. So yeah,
it's really interesting, isn't it? When do you think you? I mean, do you think you grew up with low dopamine?
Yeah, because I think that so it's like obviously girls were never given a diagnosis of ADHD back in the 80s, but always the scruffiest girl at school. Lost everything.
Did you
last minute cramming for exams? Always last minute.
But you were bright.
Yeah, but
okay.
Of course, yeah. But that's but it's a lack of preparation.
Yeah.
I never had a pencil case.
Right.
Literally, golly daydream. I'd zone out, and I'd be thinking, and I would be like trying to stimulate my brain with dopamine's future seeking, so I'd often zone out.
Yeah, it's about the anticipation.
Yeah, so I'd be looking at it in a fantasy world, dolly daydream, class clown, usual sort of stuff. And then, so when I decided to walk out my A-levels and become an actor, my dad and mum went, what? Yes, exactly. So I'm a huge risk taker as well, just naturally. I'll always see the upturn of something rather than the down. So I'm very much, and that a lot of entrepreneurs are like that. I'm like, someone fucking take the risk. Why wouldn't I? Whereas my best friend is the opposite. She's my best friend from school, from Bolton, and she was like, what are you doing risking that? And I'm like, well, why not? She's like, well, it's because, but for me, it makes absolute sense.
Absolutely.
To take to risk this, to put myself out there. And that's why I'm a chronic oversharer. That's why I constantly, I'll put everything on black because I know it's going to win, And I'm very much like that. And it's a certain person that does that. And now I understand that evolutionary, that's what I would have done in a tribe. And I always try and roll it back to how would this have worked out? So, for example, I'm easily distracted because my periphery is so good, because as hunter-gatherers, you needed people who would always look out for danger. So we're always distracted, always in school, in meetings, I'm always off. I jump up and down all the time. I have to move all the time. So I would have definitely been a hunter-gatherer. Whereas I've got a friend who's so cozy with the kids, wants cuddles all the time, storyteller, and that's where she gets her rush from. Whereas I'm not like that. I'm like, come on, kids, we're gonna go for a run, and they're like, for the love of God, I say, come on, let's go and do it, And I get really invested in watching them at football matches and stuff. But I can see that I would have been someone who I would have gone over that next mountain. I would have gone through the waterfall. I love cold exposure. I love the dopamine rush. I do that. Whereas some people, that's why the one size fits all approach doesn't work, because we are a tribe. And women who love yoga, how? I'd love to because I'm sure it's very good for you, but You're never going to get me to do it. I've tried so many times. I get out, I run, I listen to house music, I take a load of nootropics, and I get goosebumps all over me, and I get flashbacks back to the hacienda. And then that is before a meeting. You know, and then all of a sudden I can like focus and understand because I've accessed dopamine. I've got daylight in my eyes, I've got cold on my skin, I'm in nature, I've got my dogs running next to me, and I've got somewhere that I've got a euphoric recall that I tap into every single morning. I'll do that. Whereas a friend of mine will go to some nice yoga, and I'm like, and she feels energized by it. So for me, it's being able to look at you. We are a tribe, and we need to remember that. And
we're all different.
We are all different. But you know, it's like there's little nuances you over, and I find it interesting. Like, really,
it's
fascinating. I'm an artist.
I love spin. I love intense reform Pilates. They do one where you bounce and jumping at the same time.
I mean, of course you do. Let's just lay over the madness. There's a layer of madness.
It's completely mental. But and then the other one, I'm just like, oh god, But as you say, we're all different. When you were a teenager, how did the dopamine seeking manifest? Did you start partying quite young?
So it was because I came and I was talking to my friend about it, how we used to go to like nightclubs, and my poor dad and mum used to have to pick us up because they were scared. Because I said I will go out, and they did a deal with my best mate's mum, and they used to like go and pick us up from Cream or the Hacienda at 4 a.m. At 4 a.m, I'm like, oh my! But I tell you what, it was the best time, and it proves that because I still tap back into that rush of adrenaline, like you hear and you hear that guttural house music, and for me, I'm just back there, and the emotional recall is so clear. First of all, I wasn't drinking back then. I was there for the love of the game, and the excitement and the people and the whole vibe in like '94 was amazing. We get like a lift to Cream in Liverpool, and then just get the last 2 hours in the Hacienda, and then put some afters in Cheetham Hill. I'm like, what the fuck? 15. But again, I was just like, you know, and nothing bad ever happened to me. Nothing. And that to me is what I constantly try to recreate, that energy and stuff, but you can never create it. So I think those teenage years, and I feel sorry for the kids now because there's no nightclub. You've got to have £5 million to go to Glastonbury. And I'm like, it's full of flipping people who should know better. And I'm like, I'm looking at my son who's 17, and I'm like, I'm going to take you to the Hacienda, to the Warehouse Project. I'm going to take him. I'm like,
I don't say like, people would buy you drink. I mean, people buy you drink. Like, you could go out with very little money when we were teenagers.
£10, man. How I got home, nobody knows. Claire and I always say,
it's amazing.
What's in God's name? Because I look at my kids. But then if you roll it back a generation before, it's like the swinging 60s and everything. But I mean, I loved that. I mean, I had the best time. Obviously, being able to study and do that was tricky, but you've got the energy and you've got the optimism, you've got, you know, and that's how I still feel now. I still get excited now. So it's recapturing that youth with a bit of a wiser head.
So when you say you walked out your A levels become an actress, like literally was that when you just were like, oh, I might want to act, or like where did it come from?
Let me see. So I used to do like catalogue modelling to pay to go out to the clubs, so like macro and stuff. And I've still got my best mates. And my friend's got it. I've got like 6 mates from school from that era, you know, and we're all on WhatsApp, and I've like everyone's. No one can ever read it. Like everyone's schoolmates WhatsApp. No one ever see what we type. So one of my best mates, Sophie, her and I met, and we were doing a macro job, and our agent at the time, Manchester agency, said, "Can you act?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they said, "Oh, there's an audition for Hollyoaks." And I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. So, I went in and did the charm offensive and got the part, and just thought, yeah, that's better than business and economics.
Was that what you...
Yeah. Because obviously my dad said, so you've got to do that. And I said, yeah, just letting you know, I'm
off to the team phone.
I'm just going to go do a job. You what? You know, because I'd done really well at school. I had a scholarship and everything. You know, I've been an all-round student, and all of a sudden, something just went flick, and I just went, I'm going to do it my way. And I've always been my own myself. I've always, but I mean,
but it's also about treading your own path, isn't it?
It is, and I still feel like, God, I'm a bit of I feel like responsible now. I've got people who work for me, you know, and I'm like, oh, can I do that? I'm like, but that's the whole point, you know, that is, you know, let's push. It's progress, you know. I mean, we've got to like, we've got to keep.
And that's the risk as well. That's the new risk.
It is a new risk.
Yeah.
I mean, like the fact that I'm bringing out protein that has got meat in it, and
Yeah.
people are like, oh my god,
Like that,
it's like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Going against what is really kind of like a new rhetoric, and bringing back a bit of an ancient nutrition with a modern day spin on it, and people are like, "Wow, that's really unconventional." I'm like, "Wow, it's really not.
It's actually not.
It's actually I've not invented the wheel. It's actually what we've been doing for several million years.
It's actually really
However, I just put it in a packet, so and it's pretty, and you know you can do it on the go. So I mean, yeah. So I think that helps with the business, and it helps me. Like I've just launched in Australia. I mean, I've never even been. And I'm like, I know who gets our sense of humour. I know, bloody Aussies.
Yeah.
So like the officer going, you were doing what? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Why not? There's women down there saying, oh God, can we get it? I'm like, damn right we're going to do it. And I will push and push and push till I'm a unicorn company and I can speak to those flipping male guys in control and say, actually, any chance you get some female input here in the whole health span, you know?
Yeah.
So you need to be that powerful to go up against these guys.
You do.
I mean, when you're talking about Nestle and Mars Company and all those companies own all the health food companies. Yeah. You're like, I didn't even realise.
Oh God. I mean,
you just like lift to lift. You're like,
it's shocking. It's shocking. I mean, and it's work. I mean, we think it's bad here, but like, having lived in the US for 10 years, Jesus.
But I think over there's actually a more obvious conflict of interest. Whereas here we think that we're not affected by it, but our obesity rate is the same as that. Our diabetes rate is the same as that. We have children having legs amputated because they have type 2 diabetes, which only in the 80s was considered a male-only elderly disease.
I know.
It's the 80s. So something happened in 1977. I was born, but something happened that year. Elvis died, Star Wars.
I know.
The nutrition guidelines changed.
Is that really what happened in 77? Really?
So we had no chance.
We had no chance.
You're going to have 6 meals a day with 6 portions of grains. And it was funded by the agricultural industry. And whatever. I was like, that's fine, great. Wow. But I tell you who's brilliant. You've got to interview Zoe Harkin. I mean, she is amazing. She's Cambridge. Yeah. And she fascinated. I mean, I met her. We always want to go away for the kids for half term. And she was doing a talk in Manchester. And I said, you don't have to fly on your own with the kids, Matt. I have got to see her. I'm like fangirling these professors because they are so brave. And she's up there with this ton of data. Yeah. And like completely debunking the eat well plate. Oh yeah. Completely debunking the cholesterol myth. And she's just up there, this tiny woman who is just a force of nature. And I'm like, you're rock and roll. That's the amazing. Rock and roll star. It's really so ballsy. Yeah. And just so articulate and straight to the point, not bought, unaffiliated. You just say, I want to be in your gang. So I'm wandering around, stalking like a maniac. And that's what I do. I just stalk people now.
Hi, can you do it live?
Please don't reject me because I'm still a bit insecure.
Can we talk about the 90s? Yeah, we have to talk about the 90s. Because, I mean, the journey is amazing. The journey is amazing. So when you were in Hollyoaks, when you filmed in Cheshire, right?
No, in Liverpool.
I filmed in Liverpool. And then when did you move to London?
Let's see. I think I left there late 90s, so it must be about 98. I think I left. And I think I go straight down.
And when do you think about those years of moving to London? You would have been what, like 20?
20 years. Yeah, I mean, right?
It's mad.
I couldn't cook or anything. It's just, but I was, of course. I mean, I can literally persuade anyone that something's a good idea, including myself. So, I mean, I just wanted to go where the action was, and of course, I mean.
Yeah.
And my parents were splitting up at that time. So, like any kid from a broken home, you can play one up against the other. Right. And that's what I did. And my mum didn't want me to be, stuck at home with her. She was quite ill, actually. She had a terrible back condition called scoliosis, major surgery, ribs removed. I mean, absolute hell. I mean, permanent agony. And so to be honest, looking back, I couldn't deal with that very well. I was I hated seeing her in pain. You know, she put a brave face on, and I just couldn't do. So bless my auntie Anna, her sister, she stepped in because mum was on her own. She didn't have any more kids after me because she got cancer, so she couldn't have children. And I guess I was enough. One of me was enough. But yeah, so she was like, yeah, go and live your life. Let me see what's, enjoy yourself. And me being me, I'd just like knock at anyone's door and say, what we do.
Yeah.
And, I'd already sort of like connected with a few like-minded people in London anyway because of the cast. A lot of them in London.
Yeah.
So, I had a social circle. And I used to go back up to Wigan all the time. Like, oh, you've changed, You've changed with that London.
Oh, I
don't
say when I was,
you know what I mean? But I'm like, you're so exciting.
Yeah.
It's like every night, Saturday night. And it's like, you're hanging around with artists, writers, producers, just the mentalist people, creatives that basically were risk takers like myself, so you kind of fit in. And
of course,
and like goes to like, and you just got a magnet.
Yeah,
kind of like last man standing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good time. It wasn't as good as like the Hacienda when I was 15,
No.
but to be honest, yeah, it was good. It was an extension of that.
Yeah.
But that's like that's where the lights went on, and like, fucking life's great.
Yeah.
And I think that's why
I'm glad that you do talk about it and say it was a good time, because I think
good,
yeah,
hysterical.
Yeah.
The conversations I've had with the craziest people, the most maddest people, I have been in tears laughing. And I've got no responsibility, I've got no kids, not married, whatever. Yeah. Surely that's what you're 20 to. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, if you think about it, if I'm 20, most of my mates from back home were at university doing exactly what I was doing. Yeah. But they were at Sheffield or they were at Leeds. Yeah. And I just happened to be in London. Yeah. With a load of paparazzi types.
Well, as well, it was being documented.
Yeah, but I mean, that brings me on to like now, because nowadays kids are documented.
I know. They're just doing it themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's weird.
It's a bit scary, actually.
About the 90s and the early 2000s. I mean, thank fuck that it wasn't an era of cam phones. Do you know what I mean?
I guess we would have acted different.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
People would have been careful.
Well, that's clearly what's happened now.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Kids aren't drinking as much. I know there was a ladette culture back then that was kind of pushed, So it was like, if you are rep, doesn't matter. It's kind of like a tick. So there was a bit like, it was not encouraged, but
it was encouraged.
You do what you want. Yeah. But I think it would have self-edited itself. It would have done, because fear would have stepped in, fear of judgment, fear of rejection. That would have completely and I think that's what's happened now. Yeah. Which is be it a good or a bad thing. Yeah. Alcohol use is way down. Yeah. What we had. So something's changed. Yeah. Something has really changed.
I think a lot of things have changed, but I think you're right. I think the documentation is part of it, self-consciousness, but also many things. Many things. I think, it's a very different world, for good and for bad.
Yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah. At what point did you realise that drinking was more of a problem than it was just a good time?
Oh, that would be sort of late 20s. It really became, I accepted it after I'd gone through a round of IVF, and that brings me on to again hormones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was after I'd had my son, I realised I was white knuckling because I was terrified. What had happened is, when you have IVF, obviously,
I've had it.
So you understand about you artificially stimulate the estrogen phenomenally. Now, and I wasn't told this at the time, but when you have the baby, obviously everything drops. And when those hormones like estrogen, oxytocin, dopamine, everything. So when the estrogen and progesterone drop, that brings down dopamine and oxytocin, and all you're left with is your survival hormone, which is cortisol. You will always manufacture cortisol over and above every hormone in the body because it keeps you alive. Yeah. And that's all I felt. Right. And the only thing that I could do, that I knew in my psyche, to boost dopamine was a glass of wine. So I'd learned that before, because obviously I have an ADHD anyway. And I probably was way more susceptible because I got naturally lower dopamine anyway. So you add the IVF on top, And then all of a sudden you've got a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, I cannot function. I'm shaking. And I remember this dragging feeling whenever I get a letdown of breast milk. It's called D-NER. And it is the most horrific feeling of come down feeling, and it's every single hormone, feel good hormone leaving your body. It's likened to, I've read articles about it, it's likened to a dementor in Harry Potter. It just sucks out everything.
Yeah.
So I had that, and it's prolactin super high, and it drags down dopamine. It's ferocious. Never mentioned in hospitals at all. Just put them on a bottle, so they were never going to boost my oxytocin. And by the way, they say you are depressed. I should have been on HRT. I should have had estrogen put on me. I should have had progesterone put on me, and they should have monitored me. But you're just left to cope. And the mechanism for me was to have wine, and then I couldn't give it up because the fear, the rebound effect, like with any drug, like with antidepressants, like with sleeping tablets, the rebound effect is tenfold. So you feel way lower. And I was fighting postnatal depression, I think, brought on by IVF. Then alcoholism came in to fix it, and that stopped working. That turned on me. And then on top of that, you've got every single drop in hormones associated with ADHD. So I was at rock bottom, and gloriously, I hit rock bottom really fast. So we're talking 31 years old. That is when I managed to just go, right, that's it. I do have to do something because this isn't normal. And that, hallelujah, I got that. So I've done my 30s and 40s and probably, well, hopefully, by the grace of God, I'll do my 50s, 60s, 70s, up to 120 sober. So I'm really lucky to have hit rock bottom then. So I only had like maybe about, I'd say alcoholically drinking. Well, I think alcoholically would have started to survive, drink to survive would have started after having my first child, after the IVF. Heavy drinking would have been about 5 years. So really, I had probably about 5 years of heavy drinking. And the trade after that is like 16 years of sobriety. Yeah. So when people look at me and think, oh, she's a party girl, I'm like, I've actually been sober longer than I drank. Yeah. Which is really weird concept for people. Yeah. But I'm so lucky I hit me hard and early. Yeah. Because like I said before, you see women teetering in and out the glass of wine, the bottle of wine. Yeah. And you're never going to feel optimized with that poison in you. Yeah. It's impossible. And even in my first book, I said, you know, yeah, you can have a glass of wine. I want to retract that. There is nothing healthy about one glass of wine. Wow, really? Mm-hmm. What it does to your gut microbiome. If you think about alcohol sanitizer, it kills every single bacteria. One glass of wine is deleterious to your health. It will impact your sleep. One glass of wine will take 5 days to leave the liver. One glass of wine will strip the gut of any decent microbiome. It's alcohol. Whether be it Dom Perignon or friggin', I don't know, cider, Merrydown. It's the same thing. So you can say it's organic wine. You can say it's a vintage brandy. It's fucking alcohol. Mm. Don't let it get in the way of you feeling optimized. Yeah. And if you do have a problem with it, I know what it feels like. Yeah.
You went to rehab?
Yeah.
Was it helpful?
I mean, for me, it was good because it was South America. South Africa. That's the worst place to do now. No, it was South Africa because what I needed, because I was getting divorced at the time, I needed total isolation. I needed tough love, strict. I needed to be out of any comfort zone, no passport, no credit card, no phone. And I needed to just go, okay, this is, because it's very hard to get your head around the disease of alcoholism. Yeah. It's a two-pronged disease. So what it does is, as soon as you have a drink, it kicks off a craving that is no longer within your grasp. We don't know exactly how, but it's obviously to do with dopamine, and it's all very subconscious.
Absolutely.
So, but what is it that makes you pick up the drink in the first place? It's a mental obsession that you're going to drink again, like a lady. Mm. And that is like every alcoholic's mania. One day I'll be able to drink again. And it's like, to be able to get rid of that initial craving, you need to have a complete 180. Yeah. And that takes a lot of effort. And I needed that 360 approach. Yeah. So, Davinia, this is because it almost is like contradicting me, because it's like it's a spiritual awakening, which of course brings you back to Bali and
Yeah.
However, for me, it's kind of, I've seen a great quote which makes, if I was a newcomer now, it would make so much sense to me. So it's like there's an energy, and so you call it, so religions would call it prayer.
Yeah.
The spiritualists would call it manifestation. Scientists would call it quantum physics.
Yeah.
Atheists would call it the placebo effect. No matter what people want to call it, there is no question that there's something there. So it's like whatever
you call it,
there's something there.
Yeah.
And as soon as you grasp that, the craving goes. I don't know how it works. I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to. It just works. So for me, that was like, I'll call that quantum then.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Me and Einstein like that. And for me, it just let me let go. Whatever it is, brought me to this.
Yeah.
Whatever that, something got rid of that craving. And to this day, by the grace of God, whatever it is, it's the easiest thing I can do now. It's just not picking up that from the street.
Do you think that your marriage would have been different if you hadn't been drinking?
I was way too young to get married. My mum married at 18, and you kind of like, I was like 23, so I shouldn't have got married. But it's kind of like, it's very, and I'm hoping my kids don't get married till they're like 35 or even 40. You know, there's so much to do in the world before you get married. But I was kind of like ticking boxes, and I think David would say the same, you know. So we were very young. But it's what you did.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you did.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had like, 8 years, which is quite a long time for me to do anything, to be honest. You know, so.
Yeah.
But no, that was my journey. I had to hit rock bottom to get out of this grey area. I'd hate to be in no man's land.
I know it's a tough topic, but obviously him fighting for custody of your kid has been the rock bottomiest of.
That's just part of the system.
Right.
That's the institution that we deal with. That is something that alcoholism does. It's not fair. It's a disease. But, you know, I think there's more acceptance now that it's not actually something you choose. You don't become an alcoholic through choice. Most people I know have drank more than me.
Right.
They're not alcoholics. Every one of my friends who partied with me has drank way more than me, but they're not alcoholics. People have drunk 15 years more than me, but they're not alcoholics. So, and it's not about overindulgence, it's about what it does, like one glass of wine, what that would do.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
So you can be an alcoholic and you just drink half a bottle a night. It's how it impacts your being.
Yeah.
So it's not about quantity, it's about how it affects you. So yeah, it's a very interesting subject. And addiction's everywhere. You see it with kids on games. I think food.
Yeah,
Ultra processed food has just been now considered a disease of addiction. So we're dealing with mass addiction.
Oh no, completely.
Mass addiction on a global scale with, dopamine dysregulation is number one health issue. So that's food, gaming, porn, shopping.
Oh, totally.
I've got a friend who discovered Temu. She called it Emu. Oh my God, I was crying. Temu. You're not seeing Temu? Oh my God, okay. Don't go on it because it's so addictive. It's like some Chinese website that you can buy absolutely freaking anything. Like it just turns up like for £5. It's just instant access, instant dopamine. It's crazy, right? But now I'm on the other side of addiction and I can see it with retrospect. It's a fascinating disease.
Yeah. Was it necessary to completely change your environment in terms of the people as well?
I think some people do, some people don't. But I just, I had to put me first and find myself rather than. And just through necessity, you know, I'm an acrimonious divorce. I don't want to speak to anyone who's going to side with him. What got me through that divorce would be rage. That's what gets you through it. You know, that's what kept me sober. That's what kept me sober. Freaking rage. Like, are you kidding me? And I'm blessed to have a ferocious temper that will take me through that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I am zen and humble. No, rage took me through that quite nicely. Thank you very much. And, you know, with hindsight, it's just part of my journey. It's like, you know, I've never done life smoothly and I'm more than happy. You know, I wish I could talk more about it, but obviously we've got to sound like it's like an NDA type thing.
Yeah.
Because I know women who are who can't get through this, who are going through this as well, and men who are going through this as well. And there's a lot of like tricky scenarios, but it's more. This is happening more and more.
But you look at now,
yeah,
very amicably,
yeah,
and which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I was on training the other day. Obviously, calling him an idiot is completely wrong. But what can you do? I can't really have a list through when we're married. Why would you talk us through when we're divorced? But no, we've got a 17-year-old and we're both really proud of him. I think he's got a few of my isms. I'm like, Dave, look, it's me, Mark too. Good luck with that one.
And how did you meet Matthew?
Oh, Matthew, I've known Matthew since Manchester.
Okay.
Since back in the day.
Right. So he's really old.
Yeah, he's really old. But he was actually painting and decorating with a company in London because he's from Oldham actually, and he was painting and decorating. And my mum asked his boss for him to do her flat, and he was like, "Oh my God, Matthew, you're here!" And I started talking to him, and he was getting divorced. And lo and
when was it?
12 years ago. So I mean, we are so compatible. I am really pushy and panicky and running around, and he's so laid back. It is ridiculous. He's so chilled and he's so accepted, and he's like, he is so laid back, I can't tell you. And it just really works out. I mean, I don't think we had a row for the first 5 years.
Wow.
I know. Wow. I mean, which is incredible because I can row with an empty room. I can row in an empty room. And I do. Often in the car, I'll have a little make-believe row or in the shower. But he is the best thing that ever happened to me, apart from getting sober. And, he really is just my sort of like my anchor and my sort of North Star.
Yeah.
He was away last night, so I was getting the kids ready and everything. And we're very chalk and cheese because I'm a morning person and he's a night owl, so he does the tucky in at night and I get up in the morning to do breakfast, And I was trying to do the tucky in last night and I'm like, oh God, where's your book? Oh, God, I'm just absolutely knackered. I said, oh, do you want to sleep with me then? That's, I mean, I really miss him. He's only away for a day and I'm like, you home tonight? Oh my love, and he takes the unmerciful piss out of me. And vice versa. And I'm so lucky to have him.
Aww.
He's and he's cool, he's funny, and he's he's daft.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like it works.
Yeah, it really does.
It really works.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it, having a second act, I think.
Yes.
In so many ways. In a business sense, obviously, but also in a relationship sense. It's kind of weird. And I think I don't want to name drop her terribly, but when I talked to Gwyneth Paltrow about this, how is she? I love that kind of.
Oh, okay. So I want to speak to you about. I need. Okay. So we can stop. We got that.
When they were launching the Goop shop, when they first opened the Goop shop
in Notting
Hill. Yeah, I remember that. So I went to be interviewed with her for one of the mags when I was in New York, and she was really interesting about this stuff. And I do think you have quite similar trajectories in some ways. That she was basically like. She was saying when she started Goop and, it was just like this newsletter from my kitchen table when she was with Chris and, living in her cell and whatever. She said, people were so resistant to it because they were like, as a woman, and I think she was probably maybe just 40, and she was like, people don't want women to change lanes in their 40s. And it's like and I think it's changing. And I think she has been really helpful in that. But it's like they've got you in a box over there. Yeah. And it's like, no, this is who you are with do. Especially it's like, oh, when you were married to this person. And now, it's like no, she's like, she's launched it. She's CEO of her own company. Saying, taught herself a business. And also, obviously, how's a new marriage, whatever. But
I just had to say, I did not consciously at any stage. I consciously kicked right off. Yeah. So there's a huge, there's literally an ocean between her.
But I think her point about people not wanting women to change lanes or to have a second act is a really, really good point. Yeah. I think people are like, no, that's who you are. Yeah. Whether that's like you're a party girl.
Yes. Or because I did an interview with You Magazine when my last book came out, and it was quite funny because my publisher said, oh great, we've got You Magazine on. Yeah, good. And as she's talking to me, I'm thinking, this is like sitting down with the news of the world in 1998. And when the article came out, it was so backhanded. Oh, you're not a party girl. like this. And I just put it on my Instagram. I said, what do we think about this? And my followers just went, how dare she?
Yeah.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem. So much so, the editor of your magazine said, will you take it down? She's getting trolled. I went, absolutely not. No, this has to change.
Yeah.
It's backhanded, gnarly. Oh, she's wearing this. She's like, who gives a shit what I'm wearing? I'm talking to you about hormonal health.
Yeah.
Michelle, I've done thousands of hours studying, and you want to talk to me about drinking too much and being a party girl, and I'm just like, oh wow.
Yeah. The internalized misogyny is real.
Wow. Yeah. I was like, and then I walked away from it with the GBs. I thought, I didn't like that. But I just thought, it is what it is, and we have to out it.
Yeah.
It's not helping anyone.
No.
But as a journalist, you're here to help people and spread something that might actually just like, do you know what? That was a great article. I've gained that, and I'm going to give this a go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hope.
Yeah.
And I think Gwen has done that. She's given us hope. I mean,
and also just shutting out the noise, the criticism that people who don't want to see you do something else.
Yeah.
Seeing that you can train other things. And what
why wouldn't we change?
Relax as well.
We literally physically change. Women more than ever. Why are men allowed to reinvent themselves when we literally cellularly change so ferociously from giving birth to going into the menopause but we have to stay in that box?
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I know, it's
phenomenal.
And it's when she
and then you've got all the fillers and everything and all this, and you've got to stay a certain age. And I'm like, anti-filler, anti-Botox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't have anything.
No.
I just like, you can see like a bit of a dent there. So what I did was, I had 39. Thought I'm going to have some filler. So I put a load of filler in, and it looked off. Well, I looked swollen. I had that look. I ended up looking older. So,
and it is a particular look.
It is a look. You can tell.
And
you can,
told to go for.
Yeah.
That's sort of what they're saying, but it's weird.
So, anyway, fast forward, let's see, it'll be 8 years. And this eye was like looking a bit sort of odd. And I went down to see an oncologist, an ophthalmologist, and I said, I've got like this lump here. And she said, do you know what? That's filler. And it's moved. And I've not had it done for like 8 years. I said, I thought it dissolved. And she said, no, it migraines. So it was actually making this eye, and this eye puffed up. So this eye looked permanently humped over. I'm like, no, I'm not having that. So I asked her you can get like a dissolver, hydrolase or something like that. And she dissolved it. But what it did was it went down into my own collagen, and it looked like I've been sliced.
Oh, Jesus.
So what I've had to do is, it's fine. I mean, I've got a before and after picture actually, because I found it was a very interesting journey as women start, explanting or removing filler, because we just don't know what it's doing, clearly, because it doesn't dissolve. And so I documented it. And so there's this procedure now, which is called biofiller. So it's a bit like PRP. They take your blood out of you and they centrifuge it, and then it's like a liquid, but it's like almost like egg white. But then as they heat it, it cooks like egg white. So it's autologous. So it's your cells, and slowly but surely it's filling up with my own collagen. And I'm like, so what was a bit of a disaster, and I look like I've been knifed in gang warfare, actually was a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'm learning. So I posted about it, and people thought, oh, that's interesting, because I wouldn't have known that. I just thought that, first of all, people said I didn't know you could dissolve filler. And secondly, that it migrated and it actually doesn't just metabolize out. This stuff is for the long term. And thirdly, you can use your own body, which I'm a bit more excited about.
Yeah.
As a not anti-aging, just aging
well.
Like a good steak.
Yeah.
Or a fine wine. But obviously I'm not call it. But I thought that was a really interesting journey.
Yeah.
So, and there's loads of women. I said, thanks for letting me know about that, because obviously we've got gravity. Obviously but it'd be nice to use your own bodies. And it does take a bit of a while. So she said it should fill up a bit more as your body starts producing more collagen. And obviously I drink freaking gallons of it because of the warehouse full. But I just thought, I think the tide is changing. So people are looking at new technologies and stuff for maintenance as opposed to anti-aging.
Yeah, because body's the same. I mean, she, very anti-Botox, anti-filler. All about optimizing in the most natural way.
I mean, we go through stages, don't we? Because I got seduced by it. why not? Let's try it. And then, of course, I do everything too much and then pay the price.
Yeah.
But I just like how I can be open and like, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fix it. And Matthew was not bothered. He just goes, what the fuck have you done now? Now what we're doing? That's very interesting. So Thomas is like, right, fine, whatever.
I mean, you said you'd spent thousands of hours studying. Like, where did you go to find all of your, everything that you've read and everything, and everything? Because I know you've also like gone to speak with like Inspector and stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean that's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what I do. I just read, ferociously read. So what I'll do is I'll devour a book, and because my concentration is so warped, I'll have a brain powder, and then I'll put earphones in and I'll listen to green noise that helps me hyper focus. I'll get a highlighter and I'll just do it old school, and then I'll probably write to them and then do an interview or something, and that's it. Because I said, please, can we do a live?
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated, and I'm off. Like I said, intuition. I'll pick up something on someone and I'll think, yeah, I like you. I mean, there's that almost a connection.
Totally.
I'm going to take a deep dive. I mean, I'm currently reading this book, which is hysterical. It's so cynical, it's so funny, but I mean, there's some great authors out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
My favourite quote in here, because this guy Seamus was a researcher. I think he's at Edinburgh University, and as he was doing research, he said one of his more cynical colleagues said that a mouse is a creature that, if killed in sufficient numbers, will produce a PhD. I'm howling at it. And one of the guys in the office, her sister's a researcher, I highlighted it, but WhatsApp did to her and I said, get this for your sister. Professor, she goes, on it, ordered.
Brilliant.
Fabulous. And there's so many funny books, that I really enjoy my sort of research that I never in a million years would have done. Like 20 years ago, I wouldn't have been on my radar, but some of the academics are the funniest people ever. There's a great book actually called The Great Cholesterol Con by Dr. Malcolm Kendrick, and his follow-up is called The Clot Thickens. It is so funny and so sarcastic. He's brilliant. He's a GP. He's up in Cheshire, actually, but it's such a brilliant piece of writing. The lack of vanity, and they're just whatever, about when you've got people academics. There's no pretend. No. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think there's a great relief in that writing,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. Yeah. So I really enjoy my research. So, I read ferociously.
Yeah.
Ferociously,
So what will your pod be?
My pod?
Your podcast.
I want to talk obviously about biohacking. I want to put something out there that is a little bit... not controversial. I'd love to be able to host a show. So like the perfect example would be to have, say, a vegan and a carnivore arguing it out.
Yeah.
Like Joe McCall.
Yeah.
But for nutrition.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to do that. I'd love to be able to interview people who are literally in the research, not further down, right at the top of the research chain. Yeah. I want to know what's hopeful. I want to know what is in it for Alzheimer's. I mean, they are curing people from Alzheimer's through ketogenic lifestyle.
Absolutely.
There's amazing treatments for oncology that we don't get glimpses of here. And, I know it's obviously too late for my mum, but you know what? Isn't it great to make you feel secure that, hey, that's what we're doing over there? I want to be able to say, what's on the periphery? What's coming? Because, the golden age of medicine might be over. We've sorted out infectious disease. We've got chronic disease. That's the big one.
Yes,
infectious disease. Great. We've got rid of tuberculosis, polio. Boom, boom, fun, tick, box tick. Now what? And, obviously we unlocked the genome and that wasn't as exciting as we all thought. But then you're looking at epigenetics as well, and the lifestyle of epigenetics, and how we can actually hack into our genome by even hacking into light exposure.
Yeah.
I mean, just putting the control back into us.
Yeah.
Rather than the guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, GPs, all hail, but it's a lot of pressure that. Yeah. And it's nice to be able to just have it in your own kitchen, in your own back garden, in your own, be it not in Bali, but just to have the access to doing that right. That's good. My body likes it. For giving us control again, bringing it full circle.
Do you have a lot of gadgets?
Yeah, I mean, I should have more. I mean, I've got my Aura ring.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, which I got for my birthday, that I ordered, that I paid for, that I received, that I wrapped, that I gave to Matthew to give to the kids, to give to me last month.
Great.
So I did that. So that's my gadget. I have
I've seen
an
your
infrared.
I've seen your water.
Yeah, that I've had that since London.
What's that called?
It's called a Berkey.
A Berkey.
And it's a vertical one. The kids go, no, it's room temperature. I'm like, shut up.
And that's got activated charcoal.
That's big cylinders of activated charcoal. It's like I always forget to fill it up. I'd love to have the whole house filtered and all that shit, but whatever, But that's it. That came with us from London, and we put drinking
When
water
did you
in
move
there.
back up?
Lockdown.
Okay.
Right, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like so many days,
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I still love the city because obviously stimulus.
Yeah.
But I really do love running in the countryside, the fresh air and stuff. It sounds so middle-aged. But...
No, but it's true. I mean, I moved to Brighton a year ago.
Oh, fab.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, last summer, because I just was like, having constant back from New York, I found London quite claustrophobic, and I just wanted something else on my weekends. Like, being able to run by the sea, it's just like, I can literally
all the ions,
exactly,
the smell.
Yeah.
If you could bottle that, it's probably completely toxic. But anyway, I'm just thinking about perfumes.
And actually, I've seen I didn't realise the infrared sauna was basically like a great big ball.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So instead of a bedside table, I've got that there next to my bed. It's not. It is nowhere near when it's set up. Which I'm sure. But no, it has got the proper sauna and everything. But we do what we can. And literally I've got little people downstairs. So I'm stuck in the eaves of this house, on a regular housing estate. There's no big palace or anything like that. It's literally next to my bed, and I zip it up. I would love a walking sauna, barrel sauna overlooking the sea. I'd love that. Yeah. I've not got that.
One day.
So I've got Netflix on, and that is my glass of wine. I swear.
Yeah.
That light in my liver gets rid of so much stress. That infrared light. I would recommend any woman who gets PMT, who has hangover, who is drawn to the alcohol, put that in position. I think I saw a study, or was it or might just been a conversation about the sauna. And, if you've got people in a sauna, it actually releases certain hormones, a bit like a glass of wine, that makes you tell the truth. So there's an actual hack that's happening in your brain. You're not just sweating out toxins. It's fascinating, and I really actually look forward to it. Currently watching Jackal.
It's great, isn't it?
Those are anything.
I've only seen two,
so that's what I'm doing. I do 40 minutes in the sauna, probably 35 minutes in the sauna. This is before bed, so the kids have gone to bed. I put that on, and I sweat like mad. Cool shower, lie on the spike mat, which is just nothing on Amazon, like a little acupressure mat, some spiky. If I'm feeling stressed, if I'm not, it's fine. And I lie on that, and 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, parasympathetic hormones cascade over you. You actually feel the GABA. And that is no pill, nothing. And I've also, of course, because I'm a bit of a wanker, I've got an earthing mat. Because I'm at the top of the house, and underneath me there's lots of little people, and it just plugs into whether it works, I do not know. But you know what? I'm just going to side on the air of caution, and I'm just going to plug it in. But they're not too expensive, and you can get them for the floor as well. I'm not going to start walking around barefoot in Lancashire.
No.
In January.
No.
It's not happening. It's freezing.
Filthy.
Filthy. So they're my two. That is fundamental for me. That sweating.
Yeah.
Is a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Apart from diet and what I do all day, every day, but that is the best 200 quid I ever invested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think, and this is the conversation I have with some people in the sauna at Brighton at the beach, do you think that people who have been quite hedonistic are drawn to wellness and woo?
Oh my God.
Why?
Yeah. So I was talking to my friend, and it's like all the bit, and like in North Wales, you've got Snowdon and everything. It's not far from Liverpool, and you just see all these ex-party lads and everything. Do you fancy a fresh one of Snowdon, lads? And they're all going up there. They used to be 6 o'clock in the morning still at it. They're all up there. It's we refuse to give up. And there's something about where I am now, we're just near where all the Blackburn raves were.
Oh, yeah.
Proper rave culture. Every single one of them's got dry run. we can't give it up.
No.
And that's what I'm doing. Like going back to when it was, I mean, I'm going to the Hacienda reunion, sober as a judge. It starts at 4 p.m. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all like, I'll be back by 10. I mean, but it's that, and it is that. But it wasn't about the drink ever. It was about the community. It was about the joy. It was about the music. It was about the ambience, the atmosphere. This is a revolution. This is a movement, and that's what I think. The whole well-being things. It is another one. It's anti-establishment.
It's also about transcendence, about feeling something, about being
light, the life.
Yeah.
Light's coming on again.
Yeah.
It's about not being beige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do. And it was funny. I had this conversation in Brighton. So I wrote this piece about, the massive. Like, how we all gone the mainstream, basically. And these people in Brighton were like, why are you taking notes in a sauna? Because it was like, we were having combat, obviously.
Naturally. I mean, like, of course.
There's a lot going on.
Stacking, we call it stacking, stacking your protocols, yeah.
But then, this girl was saying, she was like, there's a lot of clapped out ravers who find ones. She was like, but also people who do both. She was like, it is that kind of, and it is basically, some people don't need it. Some people don't need to feel that high.
No.
But if you do, we'll always need to find it.
Always
find another way.
And I don't think it's cross addiction at all. It's just that, because addiction is something when you isolate. This is community. It's totally different to addiction. Addiction takes you into your N of one. You are party for one, and that is it. The opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
It is not sobriety. Right? And that's what this brings back again. So I revert back to me being like 15 in the house. I was sober as a judge and I was connected to everyone. Yeah. And I'm doing it again now. Like, you feel the connection in the sauna, and it's like, on the cold water, there's nothing like it's the feeling of a sinking ship to bring people together. Absolutely. And when you get in that water with people, you'll grab onto them. And that's what human nature does. And that is what I think we have at WillPowders as well, and we share our woes. And I love the fact that people, I mean, one woman, absolutely genius. So what have I got here? I've got some here. No, I sell something called Spice, which has got curcumin in it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Someone said, right, deep breath. Okay, I've suffered from piles all my adult life. She goes, I'm just going to share it because I just thought everything else isn't working. I'm just going to try the curcumin at my bottom. She goes, and it works. And the amount of people like, oh my God, I'm going to try it. No, I am not a medic. I am not condoning it. But that is how...
Selling it as a
I am not selling it as a positive, but I mean, that is how we talk. And it is, the more humble you get, the more you share, the more vulnerable you get, the more you're accepted. And I think the pretense for me is just time wasting. And that's what I think the wellness community is. Without the drink or the drugs, it's just a camaraderie, it's a vortex. And I think it's fabulous. And particularly on the back end of COVID, when you suddenly realise how lonely loneliness is a killer. I think we're very lucky to be going into our elderly twilight years with these biohacks. Absolutely. Like the Finnish, like they always have saunas.
Absolutely.
Look at their heart disease.
No. Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I want to hopefully, I know there's a friend of mine who lives in Wigan, he's put one on in his back garden. Yeah. Oh, get in with his fandangle ways, eh? How does he think he is? Him, Joe Bloody Rogan. And it's like, good for you then. Absolutely. Good for you. He's sat there, totally overweight, but having a good time doing his well-being.
And I think the democratisation of it all is so important, that it's not seen as something that is, just for California or is just for, West London or whatever, that it is actually these things.
I mean, literally, the water is so cold right now.
Yeah.
Utilise it.
Yeah.
Sit in your hot bath. If you can't afford a zip-up sauna, hopefully you've got a bath. Sit in a hot bath, chuck a load of Epsom salts in it. And that's the reason. And there's a whole thing about magnesium. Everyone keeps taking magnesium and shitting themselves. If you have magnesium citrate, it will relieve constipation. It needs to be in the bath. That's magnesium citrate. You transdermally, it avoids the digestive system. Everybody stop drinking magnesium citrate. You need 3 and 8 in the morning and biglycinate at night. That's the caveat. But if you can sit in there, put Netflix on your phone, do 40 minutes till you can feel the pulse in your head, then get into the shower and do 30 seconds, and that's it. We've got that already.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. You're biohacking.
Yeah. Totally.
And you're watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's it. It is accessible, and that's what I want to highlight, that it isn't, God bless Gwyneth, but you don't have to spend how much on a candle?
I know, exactly.
Oh, and I've got a candle for you, actually. I've actually got a candle for you. I've got a candle for you that is non-toxic, and it sounds wanky, but if you think about your lungs, it's the size of a tennis court, and as you're breathing in this soot from soy, breathing in these perfumes, you are literally wrecking your hormones, and that is a nightmare for pets, kids, husbands, and yourself. So when you light your candle, make sure it is soy, petroleum, synthetic fragrance free, because that is and I developed my candles just to try and highlight the smell. Watch out for the smell, and our candles are made of coconut, so you can use it as a body lotion.
That's amazing.
So it's kind of, because when you're bored, well, we've got them in work, and the girls just do that. You're just doing a bit. It's great.
I didn't know that about candles.
Yeah, it's
scented candles are actually quite bad.
Horrific, because it's like smoking. It goes straight into the system and straight into the bloodstream. So take out the soy, take out the synthetic. Watch out for petroleum. Yeah. So we've got our range is called Candle with Care, but it's great because it's a moisturizer as well. And we're bringing out, and the candle's called At Capacity. It smells like you've had enough. So when the candles, I'll go, kids, the candle is lit. Back up.
I love it. The whole range is just good. Well, I love it.
It is, and if you,
and
it is. I mean, we don't have to be patronised.
Right, and you don't
patronise it.
Too seriously in it to be dour.
Oh yeah, or worthy.
Or worthy.
Don't do worthy wellness because it's boring and it's really condescending. We all see through the fucking marketing.
Yeah.
We know that brown package thing's come from China. Don't wind me up. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
We all know the tricks.
So tell me about what you want from 2025.
So, of course,
because we'll probably run this in January, just saying that.
Yeah.
That's what we do now. Yeah. You're going away, I'm going away.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Panama on Sunday for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then I'm coming back. So I've got a couple of weeks to work and then to Christmas.
Wow, enjoy that.
Yeah,
culture. Bit of culture. Right, so 2025 on new books coming out.
Excellent.
Can't wait. Hopefully I'll get a cat trick. So that'll be 3 Sunday Times #1s. Future proof. Fascinating.
When is that out?
May.
Okay, brilliant.
So I'm really excited about that. It's a little bit more like it's not a diet. So there's more biohacks in it. Whereas like Hack Your Hormones, it's a little bit, it's perceived as a women's book. But really, I was talking about ADHD in there for kids and men's estrogen dominance and how they should have things like DIM and stuff. But, it was perceived as a menopause book. I'm like, no. Hormones are everywhere. They make you happy. It's fucking hell. It's not just about women. It's little ones and big ones.
I bet if you took you off the cover and gave it a neutral cover, they could put it in alongside you or whatever, like business.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's weird, this kind of thing. Like they say that there are no self-help books for men. They are, but they're business books. Or they're like
yes. Oh my God.
It's so gendered.
It's so fucking gendered. So that's what I've really tried to lean into future proof. This is for your mum and dad.
Yeah.
This is for your kids.
Yeah.
This is for you, and this is for the hubby. This is for the house. This is for the whole house. This is for everyone because it's like osmosis. Whoever reads it will start spreading. So, obviously we now have a major issue with chronic disease, and I've leaned into that. Some amazing biohacks with light, sound, gong. But some next level elevation. Yeah. So home, what to look out for with the big ones like cancer, Alzheimer's, all the biggies I take on. And because it's gnarly. Everyone's worried about it. And everyone thinks,
absolutely.
Oh, no. So, 50% of the population are going to get cancer, the other 50% are going to get heart disease. Okay, well, at least we've got a target. Let's see what's, triggering it. So I found it really uplifting to write it.
Good.
And easy peasy in my tone of voice, so you don't have to really focus or anything. And I'll no doubt have to do the audiobook, which is the worst thing ever because I do my mum's telephone voice and I say, hello, and I don't know why I do it. I don't know why I put a posh voice on, but anyone who downloads the audiobook, I apologise in advance. It's going to be unbearable. But I understand if you can't focus, you have to do that on your walk. So I get it, but just, sorry about that. Hello, 62567. So there's that. I'm speaking in America at the Health Optimization Summit in April.
Amazing.
And I'm like, the Americans need our products, of course, because we have the provenance that they've not got over there. We got Swiss collagen. Yeah. We have got Scandinavian beef in our bone broth. Yeah. We are, again, not worthy. This is simple, cut to the chase. This is non-addictive. This isn't bullshit. This will help you get out the addictive mechanism that we have been force-fed or almost emotionally blackmailed to exist like. So, of course, I want the US. I mean, I want the whole company to just grow without me. Yeah. I just like push it off. And to do it, you know, whatever. Whoever. How many people have you got working for you? Oh, up in Clitheroe, we've got 10. You got 10? That's amazing. And we've got our Christmas do. We're going to go watch Mickey Flanagan. So, yeah, we're still a small company. Yeah. It's brilliant. Watch. What? I mean, because I'm a massive risk taker. I will literally take it everywhere. Because I have to, because I've got to drive. And I know whatever I want, I will push myself to the nth degree. And I know I'm on the right side here. Yeah. I know that because I get, and whenever I have a down day, I'll go on Facebook and I'll read, oh, thank God for this, it saved my life. Honest to God, I felt awful. And now I get instant, oh my God, there's instant energy. Because as an addict type person, I can't come back to you in 3 months and let you know how I feel. I need 3 minutes. Yeah. I need to know I'm better in 3 minutes. The instant gratification is real. Yeah. I need to hack into that. And I think that's why people continually buy WillPowders, because they know it's clean. Yeah. They know it works. And they know it gives them, well, more money in their pocket because they're not flipping doing meal deals every 10 minutes. And also it just gives them that sense of control that they've not had since they were like 12. Yeah. Totally. We've been chasing junk food, like it or not. You know, we've been chasing it because we've been told to. Yeah. For decades. So, no, completely. Freedom. Yeah, freedom from addiction. And, you know, I hope I can help a few people and have a laugh along the way. Exactly. Which I do. Which you definitely did. I mean, you're a fucking great spokesperson for it as well. I mean, you walk the walk and you look amazing and you can talk about it with authority, but in a way that is completely accessible, you know. And we're always learning. Yeah. So we're always like, that's a journey for you. Yeah. Because you're looking at things like light protons now and you're like, wow, that's cool, man. Yeah. When's that coming out? Yeah. You know, let's speak to me about it. It's basically like gossip, isn't it, really? It's like gossip that makes you better. Yeah, it really is. And it's a lot of good now. I'll tell you, I learn more about women's health at school gates than I do anywhere else because you have got real, honest feedback. Absolutely. This shit show's going on. This has happened, such and such. Like, I mean, not being able to get testosterone we all need testosterone. Women actually make more testosterone than estrogen, by the way, but it's still considered a male hormone. Best way to get it in the UK to say is you're not satisfying your husband. They'll give you testosterone then. I'm like, welcome to 1958, guys. Fucking great. Bingo. Meanwhile, your fat burning, your confidence goes up. You are able to take chances. You do have more energy. You've got more drive and determination, but it's all right. Still a male hormone. Right. Okay. Oh, that's all right. So fun. Yeah. I mean, the NHS God bless it, but it's got a long way to go. I have no idea how to fix that, and I don't think anybody does. Well, my cheating doesn't either. So can we talk about him? I want to speak to him. There is so much I can tell him. I'm like, okay, you've got Robert Kennedy Jr. over there. What are we going to put forward? We've got Oxford and Cambridge. What are we putting forward? We've got some of these oldest institutions on the planet of academia, and he needs to speak to people like me to say, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. Shouldn't we be offering something a bit revolutionary as well? Why are they taking the lead? Why are they taking the charge? Or are we just going to, right, yes, Mr. Trump, we'll copy and paste what you say. Fuck off. This is our country, our NHS. I know. Right? So I want to speak to them, or I'll speak to the shadow health secretary and stuff. Because they will. They definitely will. Yeah, I will do. And I will do. Yeah. Why not? Because I'm a, member of society. I've seen it not work. I've been at the rough end of the medical system. And I think that the thing is that you can go private, and that someone eventually will listen to you, but that's not what this country. That's not the point, because private is exactly the same as the NHS. Yeah, you get it's the same treatment. We just you jump the queue. So there's no real advancement. it's the principles. It's what's being taught, and it takes me back to Zoe Harkin.
Yeah, and I think there's no appetite for radicalism. Unfortunately, it's as Wes does, and I've got my issues with Wes, but he did say it's a national sick service right now rather than national health service. All we're doing is patching up people.
Well, it's because it's chronic disease is taking over infectious disease.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, of course, you have a car crash, best in the world. A surgeon, best in the world.
Yeah,
insane.
Breast cancer, very good,
but
yeah.
What about everything else that's really dragging it down?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's all the chronic diseases.
Yes.
And why did you get there? But I mean, we don't want to be in the shadow of the Americans.
No, God.
But we already copy and paste and everything what the American Heart Association said, everything the American Diabetes Association says, we just copy and paste it and put it in English terminology. It's not working.
It's not. No. And we've got a lot to teach them. I mean,
correct. Yeah. We're much smaller population. We're more nimble. Wow.
I can't wait till you take it to America.
Oh, I know. That'll be a hoot.
I could talk to you for 100
Me
years.
too.
Obviously. I have to go to that shoot and then go back to the office at some